Yo, I would like to dedicate this workout to the QuickTime app for my MacBook Pro, which decided to turn off at about 12 minutes into recording this same exact video I'm re-recording right now for everybody. So, thank you. Moving on. Filming this on Monday. We always do these. We film these videos obviously one day prior to. So I just finished my Monday workout, my Support Your Local Box fundraiser workout one. That's what everyone did on Monday. It's the 10-minute AMRAP of squats, dumbbell snatches, push-ups, and more snatches. I don't want to talk about it too much. However, since I just finished it, I have a major learning lesson, and it's something that I'd like to talk to you guys about, just because I feel like some of you may experience this in other workouts, and this is potentially something that could help you to be more successful. It did not help me. I suffered from it tremendously, but let's talk about it anyway. So my limitation on Monday's workout was not my fitness level, and I will tell you I am not the most fit right now. Kind of strong, not super fit though, okay? So my limitation was not in the realm of fitness, which is interesting because I'm not that fit right now. So I don't have the ability to really push and give maximal effort like I know that I can. My biggest thing was I got lost. I got bored. And you know what? Stuff like that happens. I think when we see workouts that are programmed as such, it's very easy to say, man, that workout sucked. Oh, it's so boring. It's so repetitive. It could have been like this. It could have been like that. And you know what? I did exactly that. After the workout, I was talking about 100 million reasons why the workout could be better and should have been like this and should have. But, you know, that really, if you look at it, that is an element that should be trained, right? I should have the focus and I should have the mental awareness that I should be able to give my all for 10 minutes. And today I was not able to, right? In that workout, the movements are in very short order. So there's a lot of transitioning. There's a lot of stopping what you're doing and standing up and moving to the next thing. And I just got eaten up by the clock. I was just bored. I got nearly 6 rounds. I know I could have done better. And that was my biggest limitation, right? So instead of criticizing that, instead of finding a bunch of things that are wrong with the workout that I just did, in reality, I was the problem, right? I was the one that was losing that focus, that was losing that intensity, getting bored and getting lost. And that is something that I know I need to be better at because it's not a new thing for me. It's been a pretty regular thing, workouts that are structured as such. It happens to me all of the time, right? So if you're out there and if you experience the same doing workouts like Cindy, doing workouts like Murph, long, repetitive, slow-moving workouts, and you get bored and lost, and that's what robs your intensity, that's definitely something that we all need to be more present to and focus on much better, is having that focus during our workouts, if that makes sense. Let's move on to Tuesdays. So for Tuesdays, we have a cool structure. I don't want to talk about it too much. We've talked about moving pieces similar to Tuesdays a ton in the last few weeks. I want to spend the majority of the time in this video talking about actually our skill and our warm-up. What I will say is this for Tuesday's workout. Tuesday's workout is way posterior chain dominant. What does that mean? It is a spine intensive workout. It's got moderate rep deadlifts. It's got lots of box jump overs, power cleans, front squats. So it's a lot of jumping. It's a lot of bending. It's a lot of hinging. And for those of you folks who have a history or suffer from back injuries, this is one you might want to consider modifying potentially. You may want to consider doing it with kettlebells or doing them with dumbbells slightly angled forward so it cuts your range of motion. You might want to consider subbing the power cleans for hang power cleans. There's a couple different modifications that you could make that I personally will definitely make because of my history of back injuries. And let me tell you right now, I have 0 back injury at all, but I want to keep it that way. So I'm going to continue modifying some of these workouts because I know I have the potential for that, right? So if you have that same story as I do, I would implore you to do the same. Don't try to be a tough guy or tough girl. Modify the workout, go faster, stay healthy so you can continue training. Right? If you have a very specific, very unique injury, or you're recovering from one and you have a very specific piece of equipment or question, I would ask you to post your question or your options to the group so we can help you collectively and other people can learn from it as well. There's so many different options. There's so many varieties of back injuries that it's really hard to give a diagnosis via video. So I would encourage you guys to definitely do that. Besides that, it's a tough workout. Not a lot of moving parts. There's an element of the workout DT that's mixed in there with some of the box jump overs. It's pretty simple. Go fast. Make sure you warm up. Do not skip your warm-ups, especially for my people recovering from spine back injuries. Let's move on. Let's talk about our warm-up and skill work. Our warm-up and skill work today, we're asking for 20 minutes to people spend a good amount of time in handstands, hollows, and L-sits in all three. It's not 20 minutes in all three. It's a total of 20 minutes, just breaking that down evenly amongst the three. If you're great at handstands, maybe spend a little bit more time on tucks, L-sits, and hollows. If you're struggling handstands, maybe spend a little bit more time there. But let's talk about a couple options for each one. So I know a lot of folks are following Soul at Home for the very first time, and just the prospect of doing handstands is a little bit unrealistic for us. And trust me, I can relate, I can understand that. You know, to that point, I know people who have been doing CrossFit upwards towards 10 years and they don't see a reason to do a handstand. Trust me, I can understand and I can relate to that. However, I will say your only options to doing handstands are not to be fully inverted. And there is a tremendous amount of good feedback that we get from being inverted and playing with our grips in that inverted position, right? So I know I'm saying I would like for you to be inverted. Some people don't want to be inverted. I get that. But being inverted does not always mean doing a full handstand against the wall. Being inverted does not always mean practicing handstand push-ups. Being inverted does not always mean doing handstand walks. I use myself as an example. I've got a weird shoulder thing on my right shoulder and I've had it for years. And as a result, when I kick up into a handstand, not on the wall, and I need to have balance, for whatever reason, when I go to move my right hand, my shoulder feels very unstable. So for me, practicing handstand walks is not an important piece of the puzzle, and that's not something that I have the desire to do at all. However, I understand there's a great deal of benefit practicing different inverted exercises, right? So again, maybe that's kicking up on the wall and doing handstand push-ups on the wall. Maybe that's kicking up up against the wall and just simply practicing being inverted in that position. If that's too much for you to think about, and I know you're out there, I know we have people who are scared and intimidated about kicking up to do a handstand up on the wall, that's fine too. That doesn't mean you should skip these exercises, right? Another great practice very well may be keeping my hands on the floor, making sure my hips are very, very, very high, putting my hands on the floor and being in that, what we call piked or inverted position. There's a tremendous amount of value doing that as well. For my folks who have mastered kicking up and practicing handstands on the wall, there's a bunch of different drills you guys can do too. You can do things like doing flutter kicks with one foot on the wall at each time, practicing the different position of your feet, creating more awareness, understanding where we are in space without having to look and focus on where our feet and hands are. Another huge thing could be playing with our grips. That's right, playing with our grips being inverted, practicing with our fingers pointed out, having some awareness of that position, feeling what it's like to squeeze the floor versus being in this relaxed grip position inverted. There's a major amount of value doing that. So for that, I'm talking to my folks in that middle point, right? Like, you've been doing CrossFit for a while, the handstands are easy, but the handstand push-ups and the handstand walking is a little bit more challenging. Well, let's come up with creative ways to make this exercise more stimulating for you. I understand this kind of stuff can get boring, repetition doing it over and over, but I really want to push you guys to continue with your handstand skills, all right? Moving on, hollows. just because you're a badass handstand walker. Maybe you're doing fancy pirouettes and you're walking over obstacles, etc., etc. That does not mean that I don't want you to spend a significant amount of time on your hollows as well. Some options are hollow holds, weighted hollow holds, hollow rocks, weighted hollow rocks. The Pilates 100 exercise that I've been prescribing to you guys like crazy. Those are all different options that you guys can prescribe to yourselves to train the hollow body position. This is not something I ever want anyone to skip over. In my opinion, there's more value in doing hollow holds over hollow rocks. I watch people do hollow rocks often, and some of the people at the highest levels in the sport of CrossFit don't even do them well. However, when we see people doing holds properly, I believe that they can maintain that position much easier and of a higher quality as well, right? So that's definitely not something I want anyone to skip over. Last but not least, we move on to L-sits. L-sits are a huge part of bodyweight exercises in CrossFit. Some people call it gymnastics. They're really just bodyweight exercises. And there's a few different options for those as well. So, you know, at the highest level, we're talking about doing very pretty L-sits, potentially on rings with the rings turned out, toes pointed forward, very nice, pretty beautiful position. We may be talking about doing the L-sit on parallettes. We could be talking about even doing L-sits on dumbbells, to be honest with you. Some people can do those as well. If that's too challenging, you can consider doing them with bent knees. You can consider doing one with a bent leg and transitioning, switching back and forth. There's other variations too. I would say on the lowest level, a plank is just fine. We want to see that you guys can support your own body weight in this position, not while necessarily maintaining a hollow, but a good braced midsection is what we're looking for in this exercise. That's the intention. I hope you guys are enjoying the workouts. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. As always, please keep commenting and post your results to the leaderboard and to comments. Peace.